The fear of being seen is something that each and every one of us experience at some point in our lives. There is no one exempted from this fear. I have been there myself, where I was completely crippled by just the thought of having to put myself out there. What will people think? What will family think? What will friends think? What will schoolmates think? You allow all of these things. What will colleagues think of me? Or what will my boss think of me if I start sharing what I really feel, or these ideas, if I start putting myself out there? And then we allow this fear to just cripple us. So the fear of being seen is something that is much more common than many would want to admit. But it's something I felt like it's important for us to address. For those that have been attending these events, my sessions, they understand that we are very interactive. So for people who have something to share, a story to share, a question to ask, soon you will be asked to come up. So we make it very interactive so that I'm not just the only one talking, okay? So hold your thoughts, keep your questions, keep your ideas, keep your stories, as I will soon open the floor for some people to come up and share. All right? So let's go back to it. So the fear of being seen can cause many of us to dim our light, and to hide our authentic self. The fear of being seen can affect our work, and it can prevent us from tapping into our authenticity. And that is really something that makes you feel like you are in prison. You have so much within you, but you keep allowing these fears to hold you back. It is basically, you shrinking your potential to make other people feel comfortable. Sometimes that is what it is. Sometimes it is just insecurities and self-doubt, but sometimes it is that you don't want to offend anybody. You don't want to make anybody feel intimidated. And so when those thoughts are playing continuously in your head, you find yourself shrinking your potential so that you can accommodate other people and so that everyone around you should be comfortable. But then the price of doing that is that even if you get everyone around you comfortable, then you yourself will not be comfortable because you are not living in your truth. You are not living an authentic life. As much as you may try to be at peace with everyone, if you yourself, you are not at peace with yourself because you are not living your truth, what really is the point of that, So being true to yourself is about, embracing your uniqueness. And this can lead to success, and it can be very attractive, and it can lead to opportunities. It can lead you to open doors that you otherwise would never have experienced if you are not living in that truth, Like I mentioned, the fear of being seen is way common, and it's a common fear that manifests, in different ways, and it prevents people from speaking either publicly. The fear of public speaking has been known to be the first fear in the world, I think, even after death, the fear of dying. So it's a huge fear. And for many people, they are really just crippled by the thought of having to put themselves out there. The fact that they have to share their own ideas. There are so many people that they are afraid just to share their ideas, even on the comment section, not even on their own timeline, not even on their own profile, just to see a post online and be able to share what you think. Some people cannot even put themselves out there that way. Sometimes the best they can do is just to click a like and move on because they don't want to put their ideas out there. What if someone sees me, or what if they think this was not a good comment, or they keep playing these things inside of their heads, right? So putting themselves out there on social situations become really difficult if you are plagued by this fear of being seen. And the fear of being seen, it can comes from different sources, such as you fear judgment. You wonder what people would think. The example I've just given, maybe you saw a post that resonated with you so much, you have something to say about it, and you can't even say something about it. That's the list of things that you can do. This is even on a social media platform where you're basically behind your keyboard or behind your phone, and you still cannot put your thoughts out there. Then think of the times where it is a meeting, maybe at work, you have to put in your own thoughts, you have to put in your own ideas, and still you cannot be able to bring yourself to share what you have, even in at work, team meetings, maybe family meetings, maybe you are with your friends out, and still you cannot put yourself out there because of this fear of judgment, fear of failure, or fear of rejection. You're wondering how people will think about you. So the fear of being seen can really hold you back from experiencing your fullest potential because it prevents you from taking risk. It prevents you from being your true self. It prevents you from sharing ideas. Everything is just closed inside of you. You're basically afraid to step out of your comfort zone due to this fear, and it can be very crippling. Again, like I mentioned, everyone may be comfortable with you being like that, but the truth is that you are not comfortable. You cannot be comfortable being like that, because this thing is holding you back. It's literally, keeping you down. And this is deep. This thing is this fear can be. It can be so overpowering that some people do not put themselves out in social situations to begin with. They will turn down every invitation to even be out there. As someone who does podcasting, I've realized this. So many times I'll reach out to people that I really admire, and I'll be like, there's so much value that I think you could bring to the audience. And the first response is like, no, Nikki, not me. I don't think I'm good for that. And they will come up with all of these ideas. And I realize, oh my God, this is about, the self-doubt and the fear of being seen and all of those things. But it is something that we can all walk through because I have faced that fear myself. And for those who have been listening to many of these sessions with me, I have shared the story of how I actually came to do what I do, not having a background in technology from an academia perspective. Everything that I know about tech, about disruption, digital transformation, the impact of technology in the world of work, everything I know, I had to teach myself. I had to study on my own. And so I do not have the credentials, the traditional credentials from a certain university that qualifies me to be speaking on what I speak, so to say. And that fear used to hold me down that, okay, you don't have a degree to back you up. You don't have a certificate or, an MBA to back you up. And I used to be paralyzed by that, to put myself out there. And so many times that I would get an invitation, I would be so afraid to go be on the podium to speak because this kept wandering in my head. At the back of my mind, like, Nikki, you don't qualify for this. You don't qualify for this. Until I had to walk through that fear that people don't care what qualifications I have. People care about the value that I bring to the table. And the moment I started thinking like that, something inside of me shifted, and I was able to put myself out there even more and more. I was able to gain confidence from just that shift in perspective, that the more I provide value to people, it doesn't matter what certificates I have, because people want their problems solved. People want value. They don't necessarily just looking for certification. So that alone liberated me. And for many of you listening, I don't know what your own fear may be, but that was one of the biggest fears for me that held me back. The fact that I did not have a certificate in what I do, and like a traditional certificate in what I do. I self-taught myself and I overcame that fear somehow. And now when I talk to people, I tell them that, listen, there are two camps of people right now in the world we're living in. There are those that are being held captive by the fact that they lack so-and-so certification, or they didn't go to so-and-so university, or they are not affiliated to so-and-so people. And that has held them captive. They feel like until they belong to such a group, they are not of value to society. And then on the other hand, there are those people that they have the qualifications. They have gone to these prestigious universities. They have graduated with such and such certification, but still they feel like these certifications are now holding them captive because what they really want to do is outside of their academic qualification. What they are really passionate about is outside of their academic qualifications, and they feel stuck. Okay, now I have a certificate or a degree in this, but this is not really what I am, but this is not really who I am. How do I get myself out of this? So these are some of the things that ends up holding people, from allowing themselves to be seen, because there is this conflict of, okay, what I want is not what I graduated from school in. And the other group is, okay, what I feel I'm passionate about, I didn't go to school for that. And all of these things hold people back from really being their authentic self. And one of my favorite quotes for people who saw when I advertised the live, one of the quotes that I posted was that it is our light, not our darkness, that must frighten us. It's one of the quotes from Mariam Williamson. She's an author and one of the great writers of our times as well. So she said, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightened us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in every one of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we liberate our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. This is so true. This is something that I have experienced in my own life. Allowing myself to flourish, allowing myself to be the person that I am has been able to liberate even those around me that didn't think they could do this, they could do that. Like, oh wow, Nikki, I see you, I see what you're doing, I'm inspired by what you're doing. Had it been allowed these fears to hold me back, I never would have been able to inspire anybody, So as this quote says, it is not your darkness that frightens you, it's really your light. You are gifted. Each and every one of us have something within us that we can share and other people can benefit from. Even when you feel like your idea is stupid, that is just your mind playing tricks on you, So if you can allow yourself to, to put yourself out there, you will be amazed at how many people you will inspire and how many lives you will change and how much your own life itself will change. As an author who didn't know in the past that there was a writer inside of me, today, when people talk about me, like, oh, Nikki, I'm surprised you wrote the book, I would tell them, hey, I'm surprised more than all of you that I wrote a book. I literally still have to pinch myself like, oh my God, I wrote a book. And speaking of writing a book, it took forever for me to ever introduce myself as an author. Because I didn't feel like I qualify. I deserved that title, even though the market received my book so well. But I still felt like, no, that's not me. I'm not an author. No, I'm not. So each time I would introduce myself, I would keep that part out. I would never tell anybody that I was an author. So that's how crazy that fear of being seen was. But I had to walk through many of those things. And now I'm able to be like, yes, I am an author. If you look at my profile, I actually put it as, I am a kick-ass author, because now I am fully in my authentic self and I'm embracing who I am, So when you are able to walk past through that fear of being seen, it's amazing what you can do out there. And it's amazing the lives that you can impact. And it's amazing the confidence that can ooze out of you when you have embraced your authentic self. Sometimes the things you are ashamed of that I don't want anybody to know about this are the things that will liberate you and will liberate other people. I used to be ashamed of the fact that I did not have all these qualifications, yet I find myself in this space, I used to be so ashamed about it. But the moment I opened up and started sharing my story, like, hello, I really don't have a degree, I don't have a background in tech. I am not an academician by any stretch of imagination. People will be like, oh, wow, Nikki, I realized that actually drew more people towards me. Had it been I was hiding all of that, I would have been living a lie and I would not be free, and I would constantly keep living thinking, when you're living life and always looking behind your back to see if someone is going to catch up. That is how it felt like when I was hiding all of these things. But the moment I opened up, it was like a whole new world opened up in front of me. And there was no more shame. There was no more fear. I was living in my truth. And to this day now, I tell people, you cannot dig up death on me. There is no way. You won't find anything, because if there's something I know is a weakness in me, I will shout it from the rooftop before anyone goes digging death on me, And that is just how I want my life to be. So authentic out there that there is no reason for me to look over my shoulder. And when you open up yourself like that, then the power is in your hands. Because if you don't write your story, it means you are not in control. And if someone else dare write your story for you and you are not the one holding the pen, they can write anything. They can come up with all sorts of stories. Why put yourself at a place where you will now have to defend yourself? Like, no, what they wrote is not really who I am. So tell your own story. Be the one in charge. Be the one holding the pen to write your own story. Don't hide behind them and allow people to misinterpret situations, write things from their own perspective. Be the one in charge. When you put yourself out there, there is power and there is freedom that comes from really being your authentic self and overcoming that fear of being seen. You have to believe that you are good enough. You are good enough, and you have to believe that someone out there can benefit from something that has been placed inside of you. Each and every one of us, we have a purpose for being here on earth. But if you're not able to share that, it means you will carry all the giftings that you came into the world with. It means you will carry all of them back into your grave. Just think about that if you're not sharing yourself with the world. The value you can offer in the world goes beyond your organization. It goes beyond the company you work for. It goes beyond your immediate environment. There's someone somewhere in some part of the world waiting for you to unleash yourself, to unleash your full potential. The people that will value you are not even going to be people from your family. They may not be people from your organization. They may not even be people from, it may not even be your boss. But there is someone out there whose destiny is tied to you. And unless you spread your wings and fly, that person may never be able to have access to you. So if you keep hiding and you're not able to share, there's so many times that I go through posts on LinkedIn, and sometimes I get so much value from the comments. I don't even mean my own posts, just random posts on LinkedIn. I will get so much value from the comments than from the post itself. Yet there are so many people listening to me today that cannot even leave one comment on LinkedIn. Just one. They just look at things and pass. They cannot even share something they have in mind because they don't want to be seen. They feel like their voice is not needed. They feel like what they have to say, no one has time for it. I can tell you now, someone has time for it. Someone out there is waiting for you to say something that will drop and connect the dots they have been trying to connect for so long. So you need to put yourself out there in spite of how terrifying it can be. And I know it can be quite terrifying because I have been there myself. And I had to go through it. Sometimes for some people, you might need therapy. For some people, they might need coaching. Some of my clients, as a coach, I get to walk people through some of these things. I'm like, hey, you feel like you're going to die, but you're not going to die. Just allow that discomfort. Sit in that discomfort. Don't run. Sit in that discomfort. Before you know it, the things that used to trigger you so much, they no longer trigger you. When you allow yourself to sit in that pain. Before you know it, the things that used to bring so much pain, you now laugh over them. I'm like, I can't even believe that thing used to bother me. Why? Because you've allowed yourself to grow. Because you've allowed yourself to put yourself out there. Because you are no longer controlled by what other people think of you. You have grown past that level. So that is what growth demands, personal growth. It demands that you put yourself out there. Sometimes it's not that you would have to talk with everyone. You may just talk with a few people, share your thoughts and see how they receive it. Find a safe environment. You may need to start slowly. You may need to start with just a close friend. Share some of your deepest thoughts with them in a safe environment and see how it's received. And they'll be like, wow, really? Oh, I didn't know you had such an idea. That's so brilliant. But all the whole time you are thinking they would laugh at you, or you think maybe this is stupid, Sometimes you will need to write down those fears to get them out of your system. Whatever is holding you back, maybe you need to write them down, because that is how you let things out of your system. You need to identify what is the root cause. For some people, the root cause is so deep that they will need therapy. That is not my area of expertise. As a coach, I don't work with that. But for some people, they will need therapy, okay? Practicing being seen in small, safe places is the way for you to begin. Affirming your self-worth, affirming your own value, visualizing yourself being seen and being accepted. There is power in visualization. Just understanding that you have something that someone out there needs you. Each and every one of us, we have our strength, we have our weaknesses. But for some people, their entire mindset is focused on their weaknesses. But you have strength. So rather focus on your strength. Focus on what you have to offer. Focus on the value you have to offer in the marketplace. And your weaknesses will not be so magnified. I have weaknesses, but that's not my focus. I don't introduce myself by my weaknesses anymore. I introduce myself by my strength, because what the market needs are my strength, not my weaknesses. I recognize the fact that I have areas I need to work on, but I introduce myself by my strength. But there are people that introduce themselves by their weaknesses. They say things like, I'm a very shy person. That's you introducing yourself by your weaknesses. That's not what the market wants. I don't speak English very well. That is not what the market wants. What other ways can you communicate, even if it's not in English, that other people can understand? Follow that path. I'm not very educated. That's what some people are leading with. You are leading with problems. Some people are experts in selling problems, but no one goes to the market to buy problems. We all have our problems. There is no one in this room today. I see we're above 90 of us here. There is no one in this room today that doesn't have a problem. But for so many people, what they are leading with is those problems. If you see them today, they will tell you about their problems. You see them tomorrow, they tell you about their problems. We all have problems. You need to lead with your strength. You need to lead with what you can solve. You need to lead with what you can control. You need to lead with what will inspire people. Sometimes when you put your own problems aside for a little bit and focus on solving problems in the marketplace, you will realize that your problems begin to shrink on their own. They are not so magnified as they were before, because your mind is no longer on those problems. And for some people, one of the reasons they fear so much about putting themselves out there is that they take rejection personally. No, just look at rejection like this is redirection. Just look at it like, okay, this person wasn't meant to be for me. This job wasn't meant to be for me. Look at this at redirection. Don't allow it to define your value. The fear of rejection, or you have been rejected and you just decide to dig a hole and you have buried yourself in that hole because why? You once faced rejection. You've taken it personally. Another way to be able to overcome this fear of being seen is for you to celebrate your success, no matter how small it is. If you are able to share yourself, even in this room today, for those who will be able to come up and share their stories, or if you are able to ask the question, celebrate yourself for those small wins. Like, oh my God, I asked the question on Nikki's live event on LinkedIn today. That's so amazing. That's something I never could have done. So start celebrating yourself. Your small wins should be celebrated. Oh my God, there's so much noise here. There's an aircraft flying so low over my apartment. Apologies for that. So celebrate your small wins, celebrate small success, no matter how small they are. Another way is for you to surround yourself with supportive people. Surround yourself with people who believed in you. There are times that we may need to cut off some people. I'm not a big advocate of cutting off people. I believe that everyone have they're on their own journey, and sometimes we need to be kind and have empathy. But sometimes there are people that needs to go, because every time you are with them, the type of conversations you have are the conversations that will not take you forward. And the type of place that you interact with certain people, because of the environment or because of the long history you have with those people, when you have certain potentials within you, you shrink those potentials because you don't want to lose that friend. You don't want to look different from that environment. It could even be in the town or the town where you were born. That people there are a certain way and you are not like that. And then you conform to be like that so that you don't look different, so that you don't stand out. So some of these things some people may need to relocate. Some people may need to let go of certain friendships so that they can blossom. They can spread their wings, and fly, so to say. Otherwise, you will forever find yourself shrinking and hiding who you are and having this fear of being seen. When it comes to rejection and sometimes the negativity you might receive out there, you need to understand that negative energy from people is not a reflection of who you are. Negative energy from people is actually a reflection of their own issues. So send them love instead. Send them flowers and move your own way. Don't take it personally. Don't allow that to stop you from trying. Don't let other people dim your light and make you feel inferior. Embrace your cringiness and embrace your awkwardness. Maybe you speak a certain way, you act a certain way. Embrace all of that. We cannot all be the same. It's okay to be awkward. It's okay to be weird. It's okay to be uncool. Just be yourself. The point is, be yourself. That is your superpower. That is actually what will liberate you once you embrace it. So focus on having fun and tap into your inner strength and stop being afraid of being seen. Don't shrink your dreams. Don't shrink them so that people will become happy or comfortable around you. Meanwhile, inside of you, you are not comfortable. That is just not the right way to go about it.